By the time I was 20, the bitterness was marrow deep. I still remember the day I collapsed. Sharp pain in my chest, shortness of breath. Turns out I had a congenital heart defect that required surgery, immediate, expensive, life-saving. I lay in that hospital bed, barely conscious, and heard them whispering outside the room.
We can't afford this, Alan. We just paid for Brielle's engagement party and we're saving for her wedding gift.
He's strong. Maybe we wait, see if there's a free clinic option or something? They walked out of that hospital room. Not just out of the room, out on me. No consent, no surgery, no concern. Just quiet betrayal. They left their son bleeding and broken while saving every dime for Brielle's big day. They never saw me. I was there, in every family photo, tucked behind someone else, half a smile caught in the corner of the frame. But they never truly saw me. My name is Marcus Hale. I'm 35 now, a respected journalist, invited to speak on ethics and justice at global conferences. But to my parents, I was always just the other child. My sister, Brielle, was the sun charismatic from the time she could babble. She could do no wrong. And me? I was the shadow cast by her spotlight. I remember the earliest betrayal, like a scar I still feel when it rains.
Look at this drawing Brielle made. Isn't she talented?
I made one too, see? It's a lion fighting a snake. That's intense. Try drawing something prettier, Marcus. Birthdays? Hers were full-blown carnivals. Mine? A store-bought cake and a "we're really busy this week" excuse. When she failed math, they blamed the teacher. When I aced science, they said, "Good. Now do better next term." I got accepted into a summer writing program in New York. Only 10 students in the whole country got in. I was over the moon. Mom, Dad, I got in. They want me to go to NYU this summer. That's great, son, but we really don't have the money right now.
Flights? Housing? It's just too much. Maybe next year?
2 months later, Brielle turned 16 and got a brand new Honda Civic wrapped in a bow. By the time I was 20, the bitterness was marrow deep. I still remember the day I collapsed. Sharp pain in my chest, shortness of breath. Turns out I had a congenital heart defect that required surgery, immediate, expensive, life-saving. I lay in that hospital bed, barely conscious, and heard them whispering outside the room.
We can't afford this, Alan. We just paid for Brielle's engagement party and we're saving for her wedding gift.
He's strong. Maybe we wait, see if there's a free clinic option or something? They walked out of that hospital room. Not just out of the room, out on me. No consent, no surgery, no concern. Just quiet betrayal. They left their son bleeding and broken while saving every dime for Brielle's big day. I was stabilized and left to deal with the pain and trauma on my own. Then, I posted online about needing money for my surgery. A charity organization stepped in, people who didn't even know me, and covered the cost of the surgery. They called, they checked in, they cared. My own parents didn't. Not once, not a call, not a message, nothing. Weeks later, I came home just to collect the last of my things. That's when it hit me like a second wound. The house was decorated. Laughter spilled from the kitchen. Boxes of expensive wedding gifts sat piled in the living room. New appliances, designer luggage, jewelry. A banner read, "Congratulations, Brielle," with balloons and ribbons dancing in the hallway. They were hosting a party, a celebration. While I had nearly died in a cold hospital bed alone, they were pouring champagne and planning flower arrangements. They didn't even notice me walk in. No one asked how I was doing. No one asked where I'd been. No one cared that I'd survived. That was the moment I realized the truth. I was never their priority. I was just the extra child they never wanted to budget for. I left home at 21 and never looked back. I worked 3 jobs, clawed my way through school, and started as an intern at a tiny investigative news site. I slept in the office, skipped meals, and lived on caffeine and anger. And slowly, I built a life fueled by the pain they gifted me, more permanent than any wedding gift in that living room. 10 years later, I was Marcus Hale, Peabody Award winner, best-selling author, guest speaker on BBC, CNN, and The Atlantic. The kid they ignored had become someone. And then, one Sunday morning, my phone rang. I stared at it for a long time before answering. Hello? Marcus. Hey son, how are you? Busy. Why are you calling?
We need your help. It's Brielle. She's in trouble.
Trouble was an understatement. Brielle had spiraled over the years. Abusive marriage, then divorce, then pills, then worse. She'd gotten involved with some slick-talking hustler named Vince, who ran a fake crypto scheme. She fronted the whole thing on social media as an investment guru. Turns out, it was all a scam. $1.2 million gone. Clients demanding repayment, lawsuits looming. Vince disappeared. Brielle was left to answer for it. And now she was facing fraud charges.
Marcus, we've taken out a second mortgage, drained our savings, we hired a lawyer, but it's not enough. Please, help your sister.
It was poetic, really. The girl they spent everything on had taken everything from them. Their house, their retirement, their reputation. I could smell the desperation through the phone. I told them I'd think about it. I didn't. Instead, I thought about revenge. I flew down to visit them a week later, my first time home in over a decade. The house looked smaller, sadder, the paint peeling, the lawn neglected. The shrine to Brielle still dominated the living room. Old trophies, framed magazine covers, as if time had frozen in denial. When I walked in, they acted like I was royalty. Son, you look amazing. We're so proud of you.
I prayed every day that you'd come home.
Wish I could say the same. I offered to help, said I'd bring in my legal team, pull strings with some of my media friends. They were ecstatic. Tears, hugs. My name suddenly mattered. But it was all bait. I wasn't going to save Brielle. I was going to bury the entire illusion they'd built. My investigative team uncovered details about the crypto scam even the police hadn't found yet. Emails, hidden ledgers, Vince's real name. And the biggest twist? My parents were involved. Maybe not directly, but they had funneled money into the scam. Helped host events, promoted it to friends at church. Ignorance? Maybe, but legally? Complicity. I sent the files anonymously to the district attorney. Then I published an expose. Golden Daughter. How a family's obsession fueled one of the largest crypto scams in the state. My byline sat right under it. The fallout was glorious. The DA reopened the investigation. My parents were subpoenaed. The house was seized to repay defrauded investors. Their names were dragged through every news station from California to New York. The community that once praised them now shunned them. They called me. Every day, begged, pleaded, cursed, threatened. I never answered. Then, one final voicemail from Dad. Marcus, they're talking jail time for your mother. We lost everything. Please, son, just talk to me. I listened to that message while sipping wine on the balcony of my Manhattan penthouse. Somewhere across the country, the family that left me for dead was gasping for breath, drowning in the consequences of their golden child. And me? I was living, thriving, free. When people ask me why I became a journalist, I always say, to tell the truth. But part of me wanted the world to finally see what I saw. The cost of favoritism, the violence of indifference, the poison of unconditional love given to the wrong person. The court case dragged on for 6 more months. The evidence I submitted was airtight. Every lie, every dollar, every desperate move to protect Brielle was exposed. They'd always said they were trying to protect the family. Funny how that family shattered the moment the money ran dry. Brielle was sentenced to 8 years. Her sob story, drug addiction, manipulation, I was just in love, didn't move the jury. Not when they saw the videos of her flaunting cash on social media while elderly investors lost their life savings. My father got 3 years probation for financial complicity and obstruction. He was spared prison, but not shame. My mother wasn't so lucky. They uncovered falsified documents with her signature, wire fraud. She got 18 months behind bars. I never celebrated in public. That wasn't my style. But one cold November morning, I put on my best coat and walked into the county detention facility where my mother was being held. She looked tired, older, her silver hair disheveled. Her hands shook as she held the phone to her ear through the glass divider.
Marcus, thank you for coming. I know I've failed you, but I'm still your mother.
Wrong. You were her mother. I was just the kid who lived in your house.
We were just trying to keep the family together.
You kept Brielle together. You let me fall apart.
Please, can you help us get an appeal? I can't sleep in here. The lights, the noise.
I know. It's almost like being in a hospital bed waiting for surgery that your parents won't pay for. She burst into tears. I stood up. Next time you pray for forgiveness, make sure you use my name. I earned it. I visited her too. She'd lost the shine in her eyes. Her hair was a dull mess, and she looked 10 years older.
Was it you? The article, the files, the setup?
You already know.
You ruined us.
No, Brielle, you did that. I just wrote the headline. I left them both there. Mom behind bars, Brielle trapped in the walls she helped build, and Dad living alone in a tiny apartment, jobless, disgraced. As for Vince, the man behind the crypto scheme, the so-called genius investor who charmed my sister and convinced half the county to pour in their savings, he didn't disappear for long. One of my contacts at the Times tipped me off a few weeks after the sentencing. Vince had resurfaced in Singapore, using a different name, trying to launch another revolutionary tech fund. I reached out to some people I trusted in international journalism. A story ran in the Straits Times, and within days, a red notice was issued through Interpol. 2 weeks later, Vince was arrested at Changi Airport. The irony? He was wearing a $10,000 suit and carrying a forged passport with Brielle's last name. Still running, still faking it. But this time, no one was there to bail him out. He was extradited and now faces 25 years in federal prison for wire fraud, identity fraud, and international financial crimes. People say revenge is best served cold, but this was ice cold and slow brewed. Thanks for watching.